Hello and welcome to First Issues. I'm the Archivist, and let's get started off right away with Captain Marvel #1, written by Kelly Sue DeConnick and drawn by David Lopez. It's actually written very well, and I liked it. But like most Marvel nows, only if I turn off the fact that I've been reading the character and just know it from a basic Wikipedia entry. It's true I did miss the enemy within thing where she moved in to the Statue of Liberty's head. Don't ask me, it's rent controlled. But reading this actually reminded me a lot of Batgirl #1, from the New 52, actually. It isn't bad, and I know a lot of people are going to like it, but there's just something off about the character that takes me out of the moment, and I can't truly get invested into the story. But to be fair, Marvel has already gone, it's a secret to everyone about what Marvel now actually is, which, considering it started off about 2 years ago, is a pretty big feat. So I'd read it on the shelf, or buy it if you're really into Captain Marvel. Next up is Secret Avengers #1, written by Alex Cott, drawn by Michael Walsh. This is what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should have been, and in the first few pages, I didn't like it. I'll admit it. It felt kind of all ages level dumbed down, but slowly I got into it, with probably the best scene in any comic I've read for first issues in it. I'll just say it's a sauna scene. Read it, find out, love it, yeah. So, the new team lineup, and I will be honest, I have no clue if this is the lineup from last year's Secret Avengers that came out for last year's Marvel Now. But the team is Spider-Woman, Black Widow, Nick Fury Jr., the black one for anyone not paying attention, and Phil Coulson, with Hawkeye probably becoming a member, but I have no clue. Now, why is this better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Because it has that all-ages fun that Marvel wants, with the adult stuff thrown in. There's established characters who are not superpowered. Well, okay. Well, Spider-Woman is, but that's a complicated thing. And it's actually a really fun series with decent writing. So I'd say, give it a read, and if you like it, buy it. Last on the Marvel first issues is Avengers Uncovered, written by Dennis Hopeless and drawn by Kev Walker. So Avengers Undercover is a title that makes no sense. The story makes sense, with some character hiccups, and the art's pretty good, but it really shouldn't be called Avengers Undercover. No one is undercover. Yeah, they probably will be later on, as everyone's saying, but that would be like naming something John dies at the end, even when he doesn't. And all that aside, this is a sequel to the lukewarm series Avengers Arena, and I feel the same way about that I do about this. It's an alright, but it's just there. I'd skip it, but if you like the cast of characters from Avengers Arena that survived, it does warrant a read. Well, time to take off the hoodie and move into our independent pull list, starting with Dynamite Comics' Magnus, Robot Fighter, written by Frank Van Lent, and art with Corey Smith. This is another one of the Gold Key comics brought back with Dynamite Entertainment, and boy does it come off awesome. While it does start pretty Matrix-esque, we also get to see a pretty neat and unique real world, with robots having taken over, but not in the oh no, human must kill kind of terms. Basically, it's a pretty great first issue, and I even caught a bit of Planet of the Apes vibe with the level Statue of Liberty in the heart of this techno city. I definitely think that it's worth a read or a buy if you like the premise of a guy from the 1940s coming to the real world, though his 1940s had robots and humans coexisting peacefully, so. Another Dynamite title, this is The $6 Million Man, Season 6, #1, written by Jim Korrick and drawn by Juan Antonio Ramirez. I'd like to say that I've only ever seen half of an episode of $6 Million Man, so keep that in mind while I talk about the comic book that continues this story. With that said, this is another title that I can really get behind, and actually I'm thinking about picking up the TV series because of this. Basically, we get a lot of solid setup to who the cast is and how the setting works. The one drawback I would say is that there's a bit of a heavy plot when it comes to the government discussing about new robots and everything like that, designed to take away the human element out to basically to replace the $6 million man in that sort of program. It's not bad, mind you. It's just a little on the talkative side, and I know that will be a hindrance to some readers, especially if you don't care about government policy. So I'd say give it a buy, if for the fact that it does have a cyborg punching a shark, and because of Alex Ross's typical breathtaking covers. Let's move over to Boom Studios with The Returning, #1, in a 4-part miniseries written by Jason Starr with art by Andrea Muddy. This is kind of a dark retelling of Revival, although it's happening all over the world. People come back from the dead and snap after a few months. We get to follow Beth, someone considered a changer. I know the name's kind of weird, but though she doesn't feel crazy, she just feels, like she had a near-death experience. She comes home from school one day to find her brother and father killed, and a vagrant man takes her away to save her from the police, though he's not as altruistic as one would think, and the issue ends with him icing a gas station attendant. Overall, the art works very well for the tone and style of the story, though the story itself is a 4-part miniseries, so my suggestion would be read this issue if you really like the idea of a darker revival, but otherwise wait until all 4 issues to give it a full read. And finally, we have the Monkey Brain comic, The Fallen, #1 of 8, written by Alex DeGruchy and art by Michael Montagnat. The Fallen is about a group of survivals versus a horde of insane, murderous cannibals from New York. Oh, you've seen that before? Okay. Well, what if some of the survivals were superheroes, and it was superheroes that caused the cannibalism? Yeah, now that's a bit more entertaining. Honestly, this is a very neat concept that has its own twists and turns, though it does have a very heavy Walking Dead vibe. But that's not a problem for me, because I really like the Walking Dead comics, so having that early Walking Dead feel just umps it up for me. It's actually also really interesting, and I can't wait until #2 comes around. I say buy this right now, and buy it to read it, because Monkey Brain Comics really should be supported more. There weren't any issues for DC Comics, so we're hopping straight over to the Flashback Firsty of this week. This is a requested review from Marcos Zednara. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm an American. Anyways, so the original Quantum and Woody was a 1997 Valiant Acclaim comic, co-written by writer Christopher Priest and artist Mark Bright. The story itself is a very roundabout origin story showing Eric, Quantum, and Woodrow, Woody, as they grow up together until Woody moves away, and then them reconnecting in a way at Eric's dad's funeral, only to discover that he was murdered. When trying to find out who killed Eric's father, they get trapped in some sort of quantum field modulator doohickey thing, and that's the last thing they remember before being woken up by some stranger in a crater. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is, instead of just a regular Flashback Firsty talking about the original Quantum and Woody, let's talk about this and the Valiant Entertainment Quantum and Woody #1 that came out in 2013. The stories are very similar, only instead of being told in a flashback sort of order, it's a relatively linear story with Eric and Woody being generally the same people they are in the original comic, just with a bit more emphasis on their foibles. Like, Woody is less than just a wisecracking ass, and he is in fact a straight-up con artist douchebag. Okay, so what do I think? I think the 97 QW is very much a product of its time, but also really resonates nowadays. Woody and Eric are close friends rather than adopted brothers like in the 2013 one, but it doesn't really hinder the story that much. I have a best friend-brother friendship thing, Though with them losing touch in their early teen years, I think it does make the sort of friendship brotherly jive they do a bit harder to swallow. Other than that, though, I think some people might get lost with how the story is being told, but I don't think that it'll be a problem for a lot of people. So for my verdict, I'd buy the 2013 one and read the 97 one. While it's still pretty decent of a read, the more refined story and art from 2013 would appeal to a wider audience. Not to mention, I just like how the characters are slightly better. It's nothing too drastic, but apparently a cape can make a lot of difference. So now it's time to say goodbye. I wanna cry a little every time we say goodbye. I just wanna die a little. See you next week, true believers. Do 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 do